Well, do you want to know what earnest money is? Of course you do. I'm going to tell you right now. Hi, my name is Sam Sansalone and I'm a real estate agent in Hampton Roads, Virginia. And if it's your first time here, welcome to home. The like button's down there, the subscribe button's there too. Hit that subscribe button. It'll tell you every time I put out a video, which is every Wednesday, about Hampton Roads and about real estate. Today we're going to talk about an exciting topic, earnest money. It's not that exciting unless you're buying or selling a house, but when you're buying or selling a house, it's real exciting. So what I want to talk about first is what earnest money is. But I also want to talk about what happens with that earnest money once it's used. Now I know what you're thinking, Sam, I know you're saying earnest money, but what about Eddie money or Roger money? Great points. First of all, let's compare the three. Earnest money is money that you use when you're buying a house. Eddie money is a singer from the 70s and 80s, and Roger money actually doesn't exist. But in all seriousness, earnest money is money that you use as a buyer to communicate to the seller, when we come to an agreement on your house, you can take the house off the market in confidence knowing that my offer is serious. That's what earnest money represents. Earnest money is made out in a check, money order, or cashier's check, typically. The amount's anywhere from between $500 and up to several $1,000s, but typically it's around $1,000. And that money gets deposited into a third-party escrow account once the offer is accepted in writing. Now, does that mean that's money that you're gonna be paying and not getting back? No, probably not necessarily. That earnest money will stay in that account until closing, in which case you get your earnest money back. And you can use it for a down payment, for closing costs if you want to, or it can be refunded back to you. But the idea is knowing that it's still your money if you're closing. When you offer more earnest money, that can signal to the seller that, hey, they're pretty serious in their offer. And if you submit an offer that's the same as somebody else, but you have more earnest money, that actually might factor into whether or not your offer gets accepted. So before you even make an offer, when you start looking at houses to begin with, one thing to save for and have in your account is the amount of earnest money you're going to give to make an offer. You don't want to go running around at the last minute trying to make sure that that money's in an account, because if that check bounces when you make that offer, that's bad news. So let's just say that offer gets accepted. Now the earnest money gets deposited into that escrow account. Okay. So that money will sit there in that account the entire time until closing. Now there are a lot of contingencies that can be put into a contract or an offer, but there are three primary contingencies that are in most offers that I want to talk about, in which point that if you walk away during those time periods, you get your earnest money back too. Number one is the home inspection contingency. So let's just say we get our offer accepted, now we go do our home inspection. And let's just say we find the roof's crazy and it just needs a ton of work, and we ask the seller to fix it, they won't fix it, or the windows are on their way out, or there's a bunch of moisture damage that we didn't see. Basically, if there's something in the home inspection that you don't like, you can ask to be let out within that time period for that reason. Now, number two contingency is the financing contingency. Now, before you go making offers on houses, you should be getting qualified to buy a house, and you know what your qualifications are. So moving forward through that purchase process, if something changes, let's just say your income changes and now you can't afford to buy the house anymore based on what the lender says, or the interest rates change and now your qualification changes because of that. If there are factors that happen outside of your control that affect your financing, you can ask to be released of that contract and ask for the earnest money to be sent back to you. Now, contingency number three is the appraisal. Now, every time you get a house that involves a lender, the lender will ask and hire an appraiser to appraise the house to make sure that the house is worth at least what you're asking to pay. If the appraiser says the house is worth less than what you're paying, if the seller won't drop the price to that level, then you can also walk away and get your earnest money back as well. So those are the three most common contingencies in offers, but there are a lot more. How do you lose your earnest money? The primary way is if after all these contingencies go by and you haven't closed yet, but you just decide, oh, I just don't want the house anymore, and you walk away. Well, the seller is going to say, hey, I want that money because I took the house off the market for you. So the seller is basically trying to recoup damages for taking the house off the market for the amount of time that they did, and they'll probably get that earnest money. So don't expect to, at the last minute, just walk away for no reason and expect to get that money back. And please consult an attorney before making decisions like that. But for the sake of this conversation, for earnest money purposes, that money will probably be gone. So to recap, earnest money is money that you give to the seller that's put in a third-party account. So it's basically you communicating with the seller that you want their house. And this is money that says you can take the house off the market for me because I'm serious. You keep that money if at any point during those contingencies you have reason to walk away legally, then you get that money back. However, you can lose that money if you default based on the contract. One example is if you just walk away at the last minute for no reason that is legally binding by the contract. So that's earnest money in a nutshell, or a clamshell, or any actual shell you decide. And hit the subscribe button and smash that bell next to it so you can be notified every time I do a video first, because the first people that get notified of the videos get the fastest information. My name is Sam Sansalone, and thanks for watching. Well, today we're going to talk about what earnest money is. And it's so earnest. Hello? Oh, it's for you. Wait. Okay, I'm ready.